Here are the top stories for today, August 18, 2020. President Duterte places Metro Manila and 4 nearby provinces back into general community quarantine. A task force investigating corruption allegations is looking to reorganize PhilHealth. A magnitude 6.5 earthquake rocks Masbate. And the Supreme Court designates special courts to speed up build construction projects. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Metro Manila and 4 nearby provinces are now back to less restrictive General Community Quarantine or GCQ. President Rodrigo Duterte announced that the National Capital Region and the provinces of Bulacan, Cavite, Laguna, and Rizal will be placed under GCQ effective August 19 to 31. Also placed under GCQ are Nueva Ecija, Batangas, Quezon, Iloilo City, Cebu City, Lapu-Lapu City, Mandaue City, Talisay City, the municipalities of Miglanilla and Consolacion in Cebu Province. The rest of the Philippines are placed under the most lenient Modified General Community Quarantine or MGCQ.
Just be careful, follow the safeguards. We want to ensure the safety of our people, However, some sectors in our economy, especially the MSMEs, are barely surviving. Yung maliliit na negosyo lang katamtaman. The employers, yung mga amo, are highly encouraged to send their employees for testing at no cost to the employees.
Ginamit po natin yung 2 linggo na MECQ para po pag-isipan kung paano tayo magre-reboot, kung paano magre-refresh ng approach. At ito nga po ang gagawin natin habang nagbubukas tayo ng ekonomiya, mas mainting na mga pamamaraan para mapalakas po ang testing, tracing, isolation, and treatment. At syempre po, ang palaging pagpapaalala sa lahat, kinakailangan pagsuot ng maskara, kinakailangan po social distancing, kinakailangan po ang paghuhugas ng kamay at face shields kung papasok po sa trabaho at sasakay sa pampublikong mga sasakyan.
Meanwhile, the Department of Labor and Employment and the Department of Trade and Industry clarified the COVID testing protocols for workers. In a joint advisory issued by DOLE and DTI, regular swab tests will be conducted on workers in the hospitality and tourism sectors, manufacturing companies, including frontline and economic priority employees, as a way to prevent the spread of COVID-19 in workplaces. Workers are classified under subgroups H, I, and J1. Subgroup H pertains to all workers and employees in the hospitality and tourism sectors in El Nido, Boracay, Coron, Panglao, Siargao, and other tourist zones may be tested once every 4 weeks or once a month. Those who fall under subgroups I and J1 may be tested every 3 months or quarterly. Subgroup I refers to workers and employees of manufacturing companies and public service providers registered in economic zones located within special concern areas. Subgroup J1 covers frontline and economic priority workers who work in high priority sectors, have high interaction with and exposure to the public, and live or work in special concern areas. The Labor Department says joblessness in the country is something that the government is taking seriously amid the pandemic. In the latest SWS survey, adult joblessness hit a record high at 45.5% in July 2020 due to restrictions imposed to contain the COVID-19 epidemic. Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III said it is no surprise that the crisis has its highest toll on jobs and employment. He also clarified that joblessness and unemployment are entirely two different matters. A job refers to the type of work that a person does, while employment refers to a person with a job. He said the SWS surveyed joblessness, while the Labor Force Survey, or LFS, of the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, counts the employed individuals in the country. The LFS in April 2020 recorded 17.7% unemployment rate, or equivalent to 7.43 million unemployed persons. Bello expressed optimism that the enactment of the proposed Bayanihan to Recover as One Act, or the Bayanihan 2 bill, will boost the government's efforts to provide needed assistance to workers in the formal and informal sectors, including the affected overseas Filipino workers. He is also hoping that a vaccine against COVID-19 can be made available soon. The Department of Education assures that funds will be available for the implementation of its Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. School year 2020 to 2021 will start on October 5, 2020 and will end on June 16, 2021. DepEd Undersecretary for Finance Annalyn Sevilla said their original budget has no specific allotment for printing of modules, but they are now realigning their funds to ensure the continuous reproduction of self-learning modules. DepEd earlier received reports about teachers requesting donation from the private sector and individuals for the printing and reproduction of these modules.
Meron na po tayong na-download na 9 billion. Ito po ay na-realign natin from our existing funds. At simula po noong July ay na-download na ito sa mga regional offices natin. At yung mga division offices naman po ay nagsisimula at kanila pong sila'y nakikipag-coordinate sa ating mga eskwelahan para po mai-ready at maipamigay ang ating mga self-learning modules. Pangalawa po, even before the downloading, ay inallow na po natin through a department order signed by our secretary. I think this is as early as May and June, na gamitin ang ating mga MOE para ma-produce, ma-reproduce at ma-distribute ang ating self-learning modules.
President Duterte denies rumors that he supposedly flew to Singapore over the weekend due to a medical health emergency. He says he is just in Davao all along. In a short Facebook Live video shot by Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo, Duterte assured the public that he never left his hometown as a precaution against catching coronavirus disease 2019. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque earlier said Duterte is in good health and continues to receive regular reverse transcription polymerase chain reaction, or RT-PCR tests to ensure he is fit to perform his duty. He said the Presidential Security Group has exercised prudence in safeguarding the President's physical well-being.
Ang isang leader would always stay where the crisis is. Hindi ka dapat maglagalag kung may problema ang bayan. Napakababa naman ang tingin ninyo sa akin kung gano'n. Well, be that as it may, hindi po ako gano'n. Just to disabuse your mind.
More than 700 locally stranded individuals in Metro Manila will return to their respective provinces with the resumption of the Hatid Tulong program on Thursday, August 20. Presidential Management Staff Assistant Secretary Joseph Encabo, who is the lead convener of the program, said the government is already preparing for the resumption of the send-off activities. The program earlier drew criticism over supposed lack of physical distancing after stranded individuals flocked to the Rizal Memorial Sports Complex on July 25 to 26. To avoid the same scenario, Encabo said the government has developed a new approach in sending home LSIs through a clustering system. Only a pocketed group of stranded people will be served at a time in a bid to avoid crowds within serving areas. Encabo assured that they will implement the program by strictly following containment measures and will prioritize those who have not been able to avail of the trips. LSIs who are waiting for their turn in the trips are temporarily housed at various Healers One centers, health facilities, complete with equipment and amenities. The Hatid Tulong initiative is expected to be completed by October 19. Polymerase chain reaction or PCR-based pooled testing for coronavirus disease 2019 will be rolled out in Makati City and other parts of Metro Manila. Meanwhile, Quezon City will soon launch its very own molecular laboratory and quarantine facilities. More on these from Marita Mawai.
The Quezon City government will be opening new quarantine facilities as well as its own molecular laboratory before this month ends. Some 16 units of recycled container vans were used to build a 64-room facility to isolate COVID-19 patients with mild symptoms and those asymptomatic. In Marikina, the local government is shifting to digital marketing and selling of products to revive the city's manufacturing industries hard hit by COVID-19 pandemic. Marikina City is dubbed as the shoe capital of the Philippines with its thriving industry of shoe factories. However, some manufacturing businesses in the city were forced to close, some have reduced staffing, and many local businesses which stayed afloat continue to endure the impacts of the health crisis. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Muahe.
Still to come, a task force investigating corruption allegations is looking to reorganize PhilHealth. A magnitude 6.5 earthquake rocks Masbate. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Sa matinding laban natin sa Coronavirus Disease 2019, sugpuin din natin ang pagkalat ng fake news. Huwag magbahagi ng impormasyon na hindi tiyak ang pinagmulan. I-check mabuti ang source ng balita. Kumuha lamang ng impormasyon mula sa mga official channel ng Department of Health. Huwag magpadala sa maling balita, basta't sama-sama at laging handa. Kaya natin to. Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
Task Force PhilHealth, led by Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara, is looking into the possibility of reorganizing the state-run insurer. Guevara said the task force has already received the reports of the Presidential Anti-Corruption Commission and the Governance Commission for Government-Owned and Controlled Corporations. He says the Senate was also gracious enough to share its initial findings. Guevara formed the task force last August 7, pursuant to the directive of President Duterte, who wanted the state-run insurer investigated over corruption allegations. Duterte gave the task force 30 days starting from its creation to submit to him its findings and recommendations, which shall include proposed legal actions against officials and employees found responsible for acts of corruption and anomalies in PhilHealth. Meanwhile, several officials of the PhilHealth, including its president and CEO Ricardo Morales, have signed bank secrecy waivers. This allows the Anti-Money Laundering Council, or AMLA, to check their transactions amid the alleged irregularities within the agency. House Committee on Public Accounts Chair Mike Defensor said Morales was one of the 14 high-ranking PhilHealth officials who have already signed a bank secrecy waiver. Malacanang says President Rodrigo Duterte will decide on the new chief of the Philippine National Police even before outgoing PNP Chief General Archie Gamboa retires from service next month. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque did not give a specific date as to when the new PNP chief will be announced, but said it will be soon. Gamboa is set to retire on September 3 when he reaches the mandatory retirement age of 56. Meanwhile, the palace official was mum when asked to comment on Gamboa's alleged party or testimonial parade and review held in his honor at the Philippine Military Academy in Fort del Pilar, Baguio City. Gamboa has since denied holding a party in Baguio City and that he violated any health and safety protocols in the country's summer capital. Roque reminded the public that Baguio City is currently under modified general community quarantine. A magnitude 6.6 earthquake hit Kataingan, Masbate on Tuesday morning. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, reports that the tectonic earthquake was recorded initially at 8:03 a.m. at magnitude 6.5. Its epicenter was located 5 kilometers southwest of Cataingan. Intensity 4 was felt in Mapanas in northern Samar, Legazpi City in Albay, and Lezo in Aklan. Intensity 3 was felt meanwhile in Iloilo City, and Intensity 1 in President Roxas in Capiz. Several buildings were reported damaged. PHIVOLCS said there was no risk of a tsunami from the earthquake, but warned of the risk of aftershocks. At least 34 barangays in Baguio City have been placed under lockdown as the city registered its most number of cases in a day. More on this and other news from the provinces from Chris Mundo.
Baguio City has placed 34 barangays under lockdown as cases of COVID-19 continue to spike as of Sunday, August 16. This came after the city recorded the most number of cases in a single day, with 27 confirmed positive cases, including 1 death. Mayor Benjamin Magalong has placed the barangays on lockdown to give way to contact tracing and disinfection. Magalong on Monday said clustering of cases has been recorded in the city, including among relatives and household members. Meanwhile, Negros Occidental Governor Eugenio Lacson led the provincial government employees in returning to work on Monday, 5 days after the provincial capital building was closed for decontamination. The governor assures it is now safe for provincial employees to return to work and that the provincial capital and its employees are safe. So far, there are 22 confirmed cases among the provincial government employees. In Davao City, Mayor Sara Duterte reiterates that treatment at the Southern Philippines Medical Center, or SPMC, is free for COVID-19 patients. Duterte clarifies that even patients who violated quarantine guidelines would be treated for free from confinement to discharge. The SPMC reports it is treating 182 COVID-19 patients in its facilities. The statement comes after PhilHealth justified its reimbursement to SPMC, the largest government hospital in the country. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
The Army's 402nd Infantry Brigade is pursuing remaining fighters of the New People's Army in the hinterlands of Misamis Oriental and Agusan del Norte. Brigadier General Maurito Licudin issued the order on Sunday after the 58th Infantry Battalion engaged the rebels in skirmishes on August 13 and 14 in Sitio Mangilet, Barangay Balason in Ginoog City, Misamis Oriental. Licudin said villagers reported the presence of the NPA rebels who were allegedly planning to conduct harassments and extortion activities. Licudin also called on the rebels to cease harassing communities and allow the government to send needed relief goods and services to poor residents who are affected by the COVID-19 crisis. Meanwhile, the government agencies led by the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples visited the Higaonon tribes of Barangay Rogongon in Iligan City to hear issues encountered by the indigenous people. Among the issues discussed with IP residents were ancestral domain disputes and environmental and economic struggles that said community is facing. A convergence of NTF-LCAC member agencies were present to directly address these issues and further express their commitment to resolve these hurdles.
Ipadaman natin sa ating mga kababayan, lalo ng indigenous peoples, na ang gobyerno ay hindi nagpabaya. Kaya tayo ay umikot at ginawa ng konsultasyon. Dahil sa pandemya, maraming mga programa na ibinaba ang gobyerno. So tinitingnan natin kung yung mga programang ito ay talagang naibaba at nabigyan ng tamang direksyon. So yun ang pinaka-main purpose nito.
In our business news, sales of vehicle importers in the country continued to post growth in July after the easing of the community quarantine measures in Metro Manila and the other areas in the past months. The Association of Vehicle Importers and Distributors reported Monday that its vehicle sales in July 2020 increased by 38% to 5,100 units from nearly 3,700 units in June this year. On the other hand, commercial vehicle sales decreased by 47% to 19 units in July from 36 units in June. However, the 7-month sales of Avid declined by 50.9% to 24,607 units this year from 50,151 units in January to July of 2019 in the same period. Avid said the car industry is undergoing rapid digital transformation to meet the evolving needs of consumers and the agility to adapt to a more complex and unpredictable business environment. It, however, believes the second half of the year will be better, assuming there are no further lockdowns past August 18. Up next, the Supreme Court designates special courts to speed up build construction projects. And former militants in Lanao del Sur received livelihood kits from the government. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Alamin ang mga dapat gawin sa lugar ng trabaho laban sa Coronavirus Disease 2019. Ang mga kumpanya ay dapat magbigay ng face mask sa kanilang mga empleyado. Bukod dito, magbigay kaalaman din patungkol sa COVID-19. Siguraduhing malinis ang kapaligiran. Maglagay ng sabon at hand sanitizer sa mga palikuran. Siguraduhing ligtas at nalutong maigi ang mga pagkain sa kantina. Obserbahan ang kalusugan ng mga empleyado at katrabaho. Kung sakali man na mayroon silang sintomas ng coronavirus disease, gaya ng lagnat, ubot sipon at hirap sa paghinga, ay agad ipasuri sa doktor. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
The Supreme Court, or SC, has designated 11 courts to handle expropriation proceedings involving the government's infrastructure projects under the Build program. This after Department of Public Works and Highways Secretary Mark Villar sought assistance in expropriation proceedings to acquire right-of-way for priority national infrastructure projects. The court cited that at least 2 projects, the Cavite-Laguna Expressway project and the NLEX-SLEX Connector Road project, involve a total of 308 filed expropriation cases. The DPWH is also expected to file an estimated 902 expropriation cases before the regional trial courts in the cities of Imus, Trece Martires, Dasmariñas, Tagaytay, Caloocan, and Manila in the coming months. A total of 11 RTCs were initially designated as special courts for public roads to hear, try, and decide expropriation cases. The government has reached out to former members of a militant group as they return to society by providing livelihood kits and listening to their needs. Christine Lynn Viajante has the story.
Wahab, a former ISIS-linked Dawla Islamiyah combatant, voiced out his needs in an open forum that was conducted by different government line agencies held in Butigtown, Lanao del Sur. Wahab is just one of 76 former rebels who received livelihood starter kits from the Department of Trade and Industry.
Nagpapasalamat po kami sa local government, LGUs, tulad ni Honorable Mayor Labay Pansar. I'm very happy, thankful to this program, especially the visitors like DTI, Task Force Bangon Marawi, and some agencies who are here. We are very thankful because of their help. At saka nasagot yung mga katanungan namin. Ngayon din ko naramdaman na maganda yung pagsagot sa akin.
The distribution was the government's gesture to express support in peace building and social healing for these ex-militants to start anew.
Magtulungan po tayo, tulungan natin ang programa ng ating pamahalaan sa usaping pangkapayapaan at kaunlaran. Insyaallah ta'ala, God willing, tuloy-tuloy po ang inyong magandang negosyo, magandang kabuhayan.
To recall, troops of the government and Mauti ISIS LTG's first encounter striked in Butig town just months before the Marawi siege year 2017. Reason why Task Force Bangon Marawi Field Office Manager Assistant Secretary Felix Castro Jr. assures that these former rebels should be included in government aid with the help of the Philippine Army's 103rd Infantry Brigade.
Hindi ganun kabilis ang sistema sa gobyerno dahil may rules and regulations. Hindi nakakalimot ang gobyerno, yung pinangako niya, as much as possible, yan ay kanyang tutuparin. Kaya kami nandito, isa sa pangako ng gobyerno ito, na kayo ay tulungan.
For PNA Newsroom, Christine Lynn Viajante of PIA Iligan City Information Center.
In our foreign news, China has confirmed its first COVID-19 vaccine patent. State-affiliated media reported that the patent was given to the vaccine developed by the team of People's Liberation Army infectious disease expert Chen Wei. Citing data from clinical trials published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, China's state-run Xinhua News Agency reported that the COVID-19 vaccine candidate is safe and generates an immune response. Russia earlier officially registered the world's first coronavirus vaccine developed by the Gamaleya Research Institute of Epidemiology and Microbiology. Meanwhile, a UAE firm and an Israeli company has signed a pact to cooperate on research into COVID-19. The deal between Emirati Apex National Investment and Israel's Terra Group is considered an outgrowth of the normalization deal between Abu Dhabi and Tel Aviv. Under the agreement, the companies will cooperate on developing a device that will accelerate knowledge of the virus with high precision. The UAE is the first Gulf state and third Arab nation to have full diplomatic relations with Israel after Egypt and Jordan. The Department of Health and the East Avenue Medical Center unveiled Monday the 6-story Center for Emerging and Re-emerging Infectious Disease to address the need to manage severe and critical cases of COVID-19 in Metro Manila. EAMC Medical Center Chief Dr. Alfonso Nunez said the CERID would have its own independent emergency room that can accommodate up to 40 patients. It will also have its own operating room and labor and delivery room, 2 intensive care unit ward-type rooms and isolation rooms, and an infirmary for healthcare workers who may contract the disease. EAMC shall hire an additional 900 health human resources, including medical specialists, nurses and nursing aides, and paramedics. Partner agencies and the private sector will also help provide equipment and other necessary improvements. A group of farmers in Asingan, Pangasinan is bouncing back as they now provide nutritious milk to the provincial government's feeding program and to the local government. The Bantog Samahang Nayon Purpose Cooperative, or BSNMC, was asked by the provincial government to produce 24,000 sachets of 200 milliliter choco milk every 2 weeks. BSNMC President Rolly Mateo said their cooperative continued to buy the cow's milk product from the farmers and distributed it for free to the people amid the lockdown. Mateo said this is their way of giving back to the people what the government has helped them with. The BSNMC is a distributor of dairy products made from raw materials provided by its members since 2005. Aside from fresh and pasteurized milk, the cooperative now produces yogurt with strawberry, blueberry, and mango flavors, as well as chocolate milk, among others. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. President Duterte places Metro Manila and 4 nearby provinces back into general community quarantine. A task force investigating corruption allegations is looking to reorganize PhilHealth. A magnitude 6.5 earthquake rocks Masbate. And the Supreme Court designates special courts to speed up build construction projects. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, visit our webpage or head onto the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day and stay safe, everyone.